Hello, Hawks fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Four Feathers podcast. I am Ron Luce. I am obviously not Johnny Nani, but I am joined by one of our feathers here at Four Feathers, Mr. Tony Marchese himself. My good friend, sir, before we get into all the pleasantries of today's episode, how are you doing, my friend?
Dude, that was very long-winded. I was waiting to crack this beer, and I finally get to. I'm doing fantastic today, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing delightful. I'm absolutely doing delightful. I'm excited about some things in Chicago sports. I'm excited about a crazy weekend for baseball for me personally and the Cubs on Tap crew. But Tony,
why don't you drop a little promo over there for your Cubs guys? I'll give you 30 seconds.
A little promo. We're going to CubsCon. The whole entire Cubs on Tap gang will be at Cubs Convention this weekend in Chicago. Tyler's coming up from Kentucky. Joey's coming, assuming his gas tank doesn't fail him, all the way from Rockford. He might be planes, trains, and automobiling his way to the Cubs convention. And then Juice is coming in from South Bend, and I am coming from the South Burbs. It's going to be a blast. We're recording everything. There's going to be a ton of cool content coming out afterwards as well. So if you aren't following us already, this is a reminder to follow us on the YouTubes at On Tap Sportsnet, on Facebook as well at On Tap Sportsnet, and be sure to follow us at Cubbies on Tap, but also you can follow us here at Four Feathers Pod on Twitter. There's going to be tons of that Cubs content coming out. Be sure to be following along because it's going to be a lot of fun and we're going to have a good time. A lot of live stuff too this weekend, so be all over the social media interwebs to see what we're up to this weekend. Tone, it's going to be fun, man, but
Not for me.
Not for you. No. Not for you, but that's okay. What happened to Sox Fest again this year?
It was canceled due to several factors. We've got a guy on that over there, NWI Steve. He's leading the investigation on what those several factors were. But you boys have fun. That'll be a good time for you. Talk some baseball, I'm sure, throughout the weekend. But enjoy your time down there. And if you are a listener of the show and like some Cubs content, Cubs on Taps, got it for you. Ron, speaking of Cubs fans, real quick here, rocking your guy Schwartzy's sunglasses he left in the basement tonight. And, you know, I normally roll with the stars. We got the star glasses. I'm rolling with Schwartzy's tonight. We'll see if it changes things up for the Hawks. We've been hot, man. We've been real hot over the past couple games. And I feel kind of like we went a while without one of these podcasts, and then we come back and we talk about how awful things are, and then they start winning right after that. I mean, I probably have to eat a few words that I said, not in the grand scheme of things, but just overall comfort level before we break into this beautiful rundown that you made for this show. I'm going to throw it off the rails just one time here, but I kind of want to gauge your level of are you worried a little bit about the tank after seeing those wins and Lucas Reichel come up, or are you still, this is still bad as hell?
I'm going to take words directly out of Mr. Nani's mouth from last episode. It's actually in the TikTok clip that we had. If you're also not following us on TikTok at On Tap Sportsnet, you can follow me. I'm at Loose on Tap. I try to also post all of those as well for everybody to see all the great work that we do here at our shows. But Tone, he goes, you know, we said, he and I on the episode early at the season or beginning of the season, if the Hawks are doing too much winning for you early, just wait until after the trade deadline and then things will really be bad. I think in the grand scheme of things, they're okay. They're still technically the worst team in the league by 2 points because thanks Columbus and Anaheim for continuing to make things interesting. But I am not overall worried in the long term. But I'll tell you what, though, Tone, it has been a little refreshing to see them win a hockey game in 2 now in a row for the first time, and God knows how long.
Yeah, I mean the victory beers, since the last episode have tasted great. It's been surprising. Here's where Ron, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on this, and that was just because of the absence of Patrick Kane and the addition of Lucas Reichel, and seeing how the team performed on special teams, with Patrick Kane seemingly not on the power play was an interesting thing that we'll get into a little bit here. But I'm a little worried that maybe they took it up just a little bit of a notch. But I do agree that, after the trade deadline is one thing, but let's maybe cool it on winning, 4 or 5 in a row here. If we are looking for Connor Bedard, just saying, maybe we should cool it just a little bit, cool the engines.
Yeah, just a little bit. And hey, and we're going to get to that here, Tone, in a little bit. But before we talk about things that could affect said winning streak that you brought up, first off, what's up? I am Skox. How are you, sir? The late night snoozer. We're the late owl show tonight, Tone, but that's okay because we're talking about a 2-game win streak, and that's where we will start things off. And you mentioned it perfectly, Tony. Let's be completely honest here. No Patrick Kane in this 2-game win streak. Probably the biggest headline. We talked about it on our last show with Johnny that he had suffered the injury. He left the previous game early. We were unsure going into Arizona. Johnny thought he was going to play. I think you and I took a little more of a passive approach. We're like, yeah, he maybe probably doesn't play against the Coyotes, but maybe he's back against Calgary. Well, he missed both games. So we were all kind of off the rails.
But Johnny was wrong. You heard it here first. Ron said it. Johnny was wrong. Those words came out of his mouth, not mine.
They indirectly came out of my mouth and just directly out of yours. So I appreciate the clarification for those that didn't read between the lines for us there, Tone. But I mean, we'll start with game 1 here, Tone, because 2-0 Alex Stalock shutout against the Coyotes. You were the one that brought up on the last show about his trade value going into the deadline because of how well he's played.
I saw some tweets about that. I saw some tweets about that afterwards too. I was interested to see how much momentum this has picked up. But yes, this is exactly the reason why I said that Stalock's going to have some trade value for a contending team who maybe needs somebody to just step in a backup type role. He's got a very hot hand at that goaltender position right now, and you see the Blackhawks just basically leaning on him up until right there. So that was a great showing from Mr. Stalock, and those trade stocks are going through the roof.
Trade stocks are going through the roof, Tone, and it just goes to reassure your point because he has been really good. He has now appeared in 13 games this season, 12 of those being starts, but a .923 save percentage, a 6-5-1 record. Again, on a really poor Blackhawks team that shows you how bad Mrazek's been. He's 2-10 on the year, but a .254 goals against average. Tone, that's like. That's good. And on this Blackhawks team, that's maybe even more impressive, truthfully, how good he has been for the Hawks this year and what has been kind of a rebound year for him because of the health struggles and things that he has faced. Dare I say, maybe he is a Masterton Memorial Trophy candidate this season. For his kind of comeback story.
You might need to deep dive into that for the readers, Ron.
I might have to. Tone. But that's some words we're putting into existence. But I mean, you hit it absolutely on the head, my friend. And I mean, again, how good does it feel when he just continues to reassure your points that you're making here about his trade stonks, Tone? But speaking of stonks, the stonks for Jake McCabe to get to the All-Star game are up. He had the GWG in that win over the Coyotes. Tyler Johnson capped off the empty netter, but we've always been big Jake McCabe guys here at the Four Feathers podcast.
I feel like such the odd man out on this one.
You have never been. It's Johnny and I are the ones that are pumping his tires a little.
Well, all this started happening started happening a day or two, Ron, after I sent that tweet about I'll never remember Jake McCabe, and then all of a sudden, like everybody's talking about Jake McCabe again. I just feel like he's been one of those guys that like you don't really see on the ice. And for a defender, I will say that's, to me, a good defender is somebody that I don't even notice is out there 9 times out of 10, especially with this Blackhawks team. You knew Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook were out there, but like when Nicholas Hjalmarsson played, outside of when he makes a shot block or whatever, the way that he played the hockey game, you didn't really notice him out there because he wasn't making mistakes. He wasn't Ian Mitchelling certain plays or Jan Ruding, the entire time he was out there. So I never really paid much attention to Jake McCabe. And I also know he had some injury stuff, but he didn't really jump off the page. And then right after I send that, you guys talk about this. I'm seeing, Mario over at CHGO talking about getting Jake McCabe to the All-Star game. Then he pumps in a game-winning goal. And I kind of feel like that tweet sort of bit me in the ass because it may have come off a little bit like I don't appreciate Jake McCabe, but I guess I've never really noticed him or evaluated his style of play up until he's been front and center in front of my face.
Well, and Tone, on top of it, I put out the statistic to you and Johnny because
You
we
did.
were deep diving into the numbers here about only one Blackhawk as of our last show had a positive plus minus rating, and that was Jake McCabe of all players on the team. So yeah, it really does feel like it's just the hockey karma of this world, Tone. Just I think giving you a hard time.
That's because I
of
wasn't
what you
paying
had to
enough
tweet.
attention. Yeah, I wasn't paying
Yeah.
enough attention to Jake McCabe. Hey, he's having a good year.
He is.
That's some more trade stocks, I guess.
Yeah, more trade stocks if they decide to move him. Still has a couple of years left on that deal, obviously, too. So that'll be something interesting to watch. But Tone, they followed it up. It was kind of a Hawks weekend, really, after the Friday night win over the Yotes. A near sellout crowd as well. 19,300 and something people on Friday night for that win over the Coyotes. Good numbers for a team who's in the basement of the standings here.
And Patrick Kane not in the lineup. So
And no Patrick Kane. Like dare we say like the bandwagon, persona is dead because Blackhawks fans still show up when this team is terrible.
I want to
I
dig
think
into that one. I want to dig into that one with you, Ron, because I'm
let's
not
dig
quite
into it.
sure. People in the Blackhawks community want to shed that label that there's, we've got a bunch of bandwagon fans, but I'm not so sure. I think it's always sort of been there. Through the Cup era, there was a little bit of bandwagony stuff going on with some Blackhawks fans, and I feel like from an overall sense, just the excitement around the team is at a low. I think it's the United Center environment. I think people went through that pandemic, wanted to get back to the UC, and they wanted to get out there and they wanted to still, enjoy something. And prior to that, they had competitive hockey for a bunch of years. And, the environment is still the environment. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for the Blackhawks. It's a good thing for the players to see a packed house rather than going through what I expected this year was the UC to look like it did pre-Cup era.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And Tone, I think to your point, right, especially during those Cup years, there was some bandwagonism, but I think a lot of that was related to the situation at hand too, right? Let's not forget that just 20 years ago, this team was almost never on television. In the 2000s,
right. Mm-hmm.
This team wasn't on TV. It took, Papa Wirtz passing away and Rocky assuming ownership for this team just to have games on WGN, let alone
I guess
the CSN dream at the time.
The word here, I guess, is it's not really bandwagonism. It's casual fan. They've established a casual fan. It's not a diehard. It's not somebody
who's healthy.
Yes. So I don't want to use the term bandwagon for it anymore. That's what I want to classify it as. They did a good enough job to continue to draw a better crowd than what their base level was pre-Cup era. And yes. I think that's what you're seeing. And I think you established a lot of lifelong casual fans by being that good. Look what the Bulls did in the 90s there with Jordan. You carry some of that history and it becomes a thing that families go do on the holidays. We're all going to go take in a Hawks game. We're going to go do this. So they're seeing the benefits of what a winning culture provided them. Mm-hmm. You got more people interested in going to Blackhawks hockey. And let's be real here. All those kids who watched Blackhawks hockey are now hitting their 20s after the Cup era. If they were 10 to, 16 years old, they're able to now go to these games, and that is a part of their life. So you will see the Hawks carry that fan base through, whether it's a diehard or somebody who wants to make it out to 2 or 3 games a year.
Absolutely. And I think you put it perfectly. It's again, I think it's refreshing to see, right? Like you said, what they have truly established now as the fan in Chicago. And even through a lot of the adversities and things that happened, off the ice and away from the ice product. For it to continue is certainly a testament to that, as you mentioned. But Tone, again, they kept it going because then on Sunday, for one of those great 6 o'clock starts, well, maybe not for a night owl like yourself, but for some people that have to get up really early, maybe don't get to watch the Hawks as often. A 6 o'clock start is always helpful. But an OT winner against a pretty good Calgary Flames team. They actually got Chase Markstrom from this game. I was able to catch the entire thing. It was great. I enjoyed every second of it, getting to watch it because it ultimately was capped off by the Blackhawks' new leading point getter, and that being Mr. Max Domi in overtime. 4-3
Yes.
victory over the Calgary Flames. Tone. I mean, like you said, the victory beers were sweet this
What
weekend.
a fucking finish for Max Domi. I mean, could that be goal of the year, Ron? I'm not sure. I've got it up there on my goal of the year candidates in the early going here. I guess it's not so early anymore, but overtime, crashing the crease kind of there, little diving action going on. It was very impressive, very athletic. It was it was beyond the rock star zone, Ron. It was right there on stage. There was Max Domi. And I just loved every second of it. I love overtime hockey, and it's even more impressive when a guy can pull off a move like that, get a little bit more open space. It's just so fun to watch, and I'm glad the Hawks came out on top of that one because it was exciting. And going into it, you're expecting a totally different hockey game there, especially with the Hawks winning the one previously. So could be win of the year, could be goal of the year. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and I think Tone, the only one I can quickly think off the top of my head in terms of a win of the year or a goal of the year, also involved in Mr. Max Domi, and it was the home opener that we were all in attendance for, watching them down the Detroit Red Wings in the UC in OT. Actually, I believe by a very similar score to this one against the Flames, and it was Max Domi capping it off at the end of the game. So hey, good for Max Domi. He's got a couple, and a guy that has expressed now some interest in staying in the city as well
I
and
like
staying
that.
around and being a part of this Blackhawks team. And we talked a little bit about that with Johnny on our last episode. But again, continuing to continue to step up for this team. But Tone, let's not completely avoid the elephant in the room here, and that is Lucas Reichel's game against the Calgary Flames was epic. 3-point performance, his first career NHL goal, because first career goals are cool and tough. Tone. As well, we mentioned the 2 assists. He had an assist on the GWG in OT as well. Played over 16 minutes of ice time in that game after 15 against the Coyotes. Had 5 shots on goal. That was a team best in that win over the Flames. Tone, he's here to stay. You even wrote about it in your first career goal article. Luke Richardson is ready to see more Lucas Reichel. And as I said here in my little tagline on the live show, Rutro, Reichel's back because he looks like a different player in this stint now at the NHL level.
Is that a Scooby Doo reference you're dropping there, Ronald?
It is 1000%.
There we go. Bringing it back. I am really impressed with what I see from Lucas Reichel. He had that little short stint up. I think it was just one game earlier, and that game I was very excited to watch. I've been very excited to watch these last 2 Hawks games, and the end result is the Blackhawks have won, and I think you can attribute both of these to a little bit of the play of one Lucas Reichel. He shows up on the score sheet big here against Calgary, but overall, Ron, I think he changes the dynamic on the power play. And I kind of mentioned this in the opening of the show. The puck movement when he's been out there on the ice has been fantastic. I think he's got that speed. He's just got a little bit of an edge to him that you don't see from some of these other guys. I think he's going to be pretty impressive. I don't think he's top 3 maybe, but he's definitely a top 6 guy on this team right now.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, he's playing at a level, Tone, I think of Remember all those times that we would sit here amongst the three of ourselves, you, myself, and Johnny, over the last year and a half now, right? Where every time Reichel was called up, we're like, don't expect Reichel to come up and magically fix this team. We've said that. We said that for a while.
Yep. I mean, last year that was kind of our mantra through the back half of the season. Was, well, I mean, at that state, everybody wanted like some sort of injection of life that was going to save things.
Right. And so we had this conservative approach, but now, yes, I agree with you. Maybe long term, is he a top 3 guy? Maybe not. Top 6, probably the way he's playing. But like he is now finally that injection of life into this team because, like you said, he came up, even though he didn't really do a ton on the score sheet in game 1, still played a respectable 15 minutes. It's not like they were shielding him away. This isn't the Colleton era of shield a youngster away for no reason. They let him play, but then you saw that confidence in game 2 against a very good Calgary team that we really hadn't seen up until now this season, where he took that huge stride in the AHL. He's top 5 in scoring as of his call up at that league's level.
And sometimes it takes a game or two to get the butterflies out, Ron. Like let's take that into account here too. This is why I said I'm a little bit nervous. Are they too good now, especially when you add Patrick Kane back? If we get Patrick Kane back, I saw some interesting comments on that one, but
I saw those too.
I will say this, it sort of scares me that you can put together a 5-6 game run off of Lukas Reichel entering the league and just, taking over for a week. Johnny loves guys that come up and mash in baseball. Like, wouldn't it be so, because you'll hear Johnny say that's so Blackhawks if this happens, where Lukas Reichel comes up and just goes on a tear for like a week, and everybody in Chicago is talking about how great Lukas Reichel is going to be, and then he cools off, but then we miss in the lottery by like 1 or 2, and Johnny will point back and say it's so Blackhawks that they brought up Lukas Reichel, and he went on this tear, and everybody was happy for a week, and the victory beers tasted great then. That'll be Johnny. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. But I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous with that because I want to buy in. I want to be excited about Blackhawks hockey. And if Lukas Reichel wants to go on a tear, I'm semi-okay with it. But I also don't want to lose the edge of like, here we are right now. And there could be a really good thing for this franchise right around the corner. It's a really tough spot to be in as a Blackhawks fan with that.
Absolutely. I completely agree with their tone, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But again, it sounds like he is getting the extended stay, worth re-noting. We are going to see a lot of Lukas Reichel here, at least for the near future, and probably for an extended look, especially as long as Patrick Kane's out of lineup. But like you said, once they enter him back in, is Reichel the guy that can kind of keep up and play with Kane and help Kane kind of return to his norms? Maybe we see some power play units consisting of Domi, Reichel, and Kane at some point this season. And again, maybe injects a little bit of that excitement back into the team. But 100% that's so Blackhawks. I agree. Johnny might be onto something if that truly does occur. Tell one more question relating to Lukas Reichel before we continue on through our rundown here is, what do you want to see from Lukas Reichel now coming up over, really, let's call it at least the homestand, the next 3 games? What are, some things that you want to see him maybe continue to do, or something that he hasn't done a ton of yet? What are you looking for out of Lukas Reichel here as he persists on his trip up at the NHL level?
Rockstar shit. That's what I'm looking for. Rockstar shit. Every single time he's on the ice, I want to see, man, I want to see him burn a guy at least once here coming up. Just absolutely burn a guy and go finish. That's what we were. I know they're different players, Ron, but Kirby Dach, it felt like every time he would burn a dude, get to the front step, never able to, bring it home and finish on something. I want to see that offensive flash. I want to see it be dominant too. I want it to be highlight reel shit. And that's what I mean when I say rock star shit, because that's going to be a huge confidence booster for the kid. Once you can get one of those, sort of out of the way, so to speak. His first goal, he was in right place, right time, and we're not gonna take that away from him. It doesn't matter. It could have been a 50-foot slap shot. It could have been deking the goalie out of his pants. Whatever you want, it's all going to look the same at the end of the day. It's your first goal, kind of like your first MLB hit. But I want to see him show the offensive prowess just a little bit here to put people on notice. Yes, he shows up on the score sheet in this game. What do you have? The 2 assists, the 1 goal. And, I want to see more of that as well. Just building up, some points, plus minus. Is he going to be a guy who's a plus guy on a really bad team, Ron? So those are what I want to see from him. But in terms of going to the dirty areas and doing some of those other things, I guess I'm a little bit less concerned with it, because here's a kid who's coming up. He's got a little bit of a taste of the NHL, but I'm sure he's still a little bit nervous at the pace of where everything's at. So that's kind of where I'm at. I want to see one of those flashy moments from him that's going to make people get excited about Lukas Reichel going forward at the NHL level. I know you watch a lot of AHL hockey, so you've seen some of these things, but I want to see him put it on display and in the show.
Yeah, I think that is the next logical step, right? Again, seeing that finish, seeing some of that flair. When he came out in the draft, he was considered more of a distributor than a scorer, but he's kind of had a pleasant balance, I think, overall throughout his AHL career to this point. So I definitely think we will see some of that over the course of the near future. Kind of though, like you said, that rock star shit. The nice goals.
He seemed to have enough. He seemed to have enough this year in the AHL to say, all right, here's one of those moments where Lukas Reichel, that's Lukas Reichel on full display.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're gonna have an opportunity potentially to see that here at the NHL level. Tone, I will just go ahead and add quickly to your point too. I think just the consistency, and I want to see how he accepts physicality, right? Because as a young player, that's probably the last part of your game that you really mold into.
That's sort of what I was trying to get at with the dirty area stuff, because we know that that's going to be a problem. At least at the onset.
Sure.
It's going to be a little bit of a problem.
Absolutely. And even then, though, I think he looks a little bigger than he even did, last year, right? Like you see him in the pads this time around, you go, oh, okay, like you've been in the gym, like you're still kind of a really thin guy and you're still growing into your body, but like you're starting to see some of that size come along now, So I'm just intrigued to see how he accepts that content, maybe in some board battles and things like that. I don't expect him to win all of them, but if he's starting to win a couple here or there, then you see him kind of growing into his own, right, into that body and how he applies that game at the next level.
I mean, do we really want him taking board battles right now? I'm all for the tough end of the hockey spectrum here, Ron. But I'm just going to be honest. If Lukas Reichel goes into a corner that he's not supposed to go into for the sake of playing hard hockey, and something happens to Lukas Reichel, I'm going to lose my mind. I almost don't want to see him put himself in danger, because if you look at this next year on paper right now, what are you excited for with the Chicago Blackhawks?
Mm-hmm.
It's Lukas Reichel for me. That's one of the top names next year that I know is going to be here. I want to protect that asset just a little bit.
Absolutely. I think more my point when it comes to board battles is like things like a true board battle. Like, maybe a guy's got the puck along the wall and he's kind of trying to dig it out and just getting in there with a stick and jabbing it. I'm not saying he's got to go hard in a corner and try to beat some guy out for a puck and take a hard, heavy hit. I think I just want to see him play I want him to play hockey, right? Like, just if he's playing hockey and he's going about how his game is, I don't think his game is going hard and dirty into corners and things like that where he could take a bad hit. More just, are you willing to get in there a little more in that scrum along the wall than he would have typically, where he might have sat back and waited for the puck to come out type thing. So I think that's where I was trying to go with that point. But again, agreed. You definitely do not want him taking a serious injury, because let's be honest, the last thing we need is a Kirby Doc 2.0 of a guy that got hurt and felt like really couldn't get over that injury, at least in his time in Chicago, and then he moves on and plays better in a new role with a new team. Maybe not to the same, level that he was anticipated when drafted, but again, he's still young. And Reichel, same way, right? He's still young, and we want to see him continue to grow and not lose those development years. But speaking of what we want to see in the future, there is the upcoming gauntlet that is the Blackhawks schedule. We mentioned those next 3 games because that essentially finishes out the homestand. They've got the Colorado Avalanche on Thursday, so that might be when you're listening to this on a podcast. Or again, if you joined us live, that is tomorrow for us. They got the Seattle Kraken here at home.
Re-listen if you watched it live.
Saturday.
That's all I gotta say is just re-listen to it. We need the views on it. Just re-listen to it because
listen to it as many times as you'd like. We appreciate it as many times as you would like to do. But again, you got the Kraken coming on Saturday. I believe Johnny will be at that game, so we'll probably have some live UC thoughts from Mr. Nani. And then the Sabres are in town on Tuesday to play the Blackhawks. So a pair of Pacific playoff teams, or at least potential playoff teams. The Avs have struggled a little bit with some injuries and things, but probably are going to be in the picture when it comes down to it at the end of the year. Kraken have a nice, surprising little season here in year number 2 of their existence.
Edzo's going to be back in town.
Edzo is going to be back in town.
Again, we'll see if they do anything for him this time.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That was really weird that they didn't do anything last time. Because he's been in the building, right? But he's also been in the building for some TNT games too, and they haven't done anything.
But is this the first Kraken game in the building?
Yes.
So I'm wondering if because of national contracts or whatever, all that other stuff, and obviously
and maybe
they didn't want to take the moment away from Marian Hossa, even though like that was part of it. Maybe he'll get a standing ovation of like, okay, he's here doing his local team's broadcast versus national.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I would hope.
Maybe.
I would hope. I would really hope that, he's, during one of the commercial timeouts or something, that it's a video montage on the board and, all of his greatest, his color, him drawn up on the telestrator and stuff like that. Like, I think everybody wants to see that. I think that would, I think that would make people feel a lot better that like, wow, they didn't just shoo him out of one of the greatest to do it, just shoo him out of town and essentially make him not want to be here anymore. Like give the guy some friggin' credit for what he's done for the organization as a part of that broadcast team. But so you got Edzo in the building on Saturday. You got Tage Thompson, which if you're a fantasy hockey player like myself, he might be a league winner for you this year. I got him with my last pick in my draft, and he is one of the best players in hockey right now. I might be there on Tuesday too. Another reason I'm highlighting that game. Might see a little Tage Thompson and Lucas Reichel in person. I can think of a lot worse ways to spend a Tuesday night, Tone. I don't know about you, but after this,
you're gonna be there on Tuesday.
I'll be there on Tuesday.
This is our next week.
Yeah, it's the 17th.
I might have to join you.
Oh.
Might have to join you.
Oh.
I'm going to be in the city, so I didn't. Yeah, maybe plans live on air.
Live on air. Hey, we'll see how that plays through. But then, Tone, after this 3 remaining games of the homestand, I should say, 5 of the 6 following that are on the road. The lone game at home is a tilt on Sunday night, the 22nd, against the Los Angeles Kings. So that is kind of the upcoming gauntlet that we'll see here. Tony, just really quick, any thoughts about that upcoming schedule? I know you've already mentioned Edzo coming back and you would like to see them do something on Saturday, but anything else you are looking for here in these next 3 at the United Center?
A Patrick Kane return. That's sort of what I'm looking for. I don't know what else. It's sort of what I'm looking for out of this.
That's fair. Hey, sometimes simple is good. I mean, that's really the big outstanding thing right now.
I don't really know where else to go. Subtopic, what if they win during the gauntlet a little too much, as I brought up before, but I feel like I've kind of hammered that point home.
Sure.
We talked about Lucas Reichel a lot. The only other thing I've got is Patrick Kane. Where is he? What's going to happen? Are you coming back? Are you not? How bad's the injury? And what happens when you return?
Right.
So that's what I've got. That's what I'm watching for.
I like it. No, I think that's totally fair. And, do we see him return, on a Saturday night or, is it against his hometown team in the Sabres maybe on Tuesday? Who knows? Or maybe the next time we see Patrick Kane is when they're on their little road swing here to finish out the month of January. Who knows? That will definitely be on my mind as well. So I agree wholeheartedly with you there. A couple of little what to watch for is coming up here from us, Tony, at Four Feathers. One is that Brett Seney was reassigned since he was called up with Lucas Reichel before that Coyotes game. So he's back with the Ice Hogs, continuing likely to tear up the AHL as he has all season. Again, something that we've already noted, but we are watching for that Kane return. That is certainly on our list. And then at the juniors level, a pair of Blackhawks prospects were traded in their respective junior leagues. Colton Dock was sent to the Seattle Thunderbirds in the WHL. So the Seattle Thunderbirds, the official WHL team of Blackhawks fans everywhere, now that Nolan Allen, Kevin Korchinski, and Colton Dock are all on their roster for their playoff run. In addition, Ethan Del Mastro was sent from the Mississauga Steelheads to the Sarnia Sting as a part of the OHL playoff swing as we inch closer towards spring, even though it's still pretty early. It's only January, but
feels like spring.
It sure did today. A little 50-degree weather in the Chicagoland area.
Feels like spring.
Definitely.
I wanted to hit the golf course today. That's how warm it was.
It would have been a perfect day for it too, my friend. You find a course that somehow happens to be open, and it would have been a day for it, man. But I'll tell you what to watch for as well. It's never too soon to start promoting cool things, Tone. Got to remind people, March 3rd, it's Four Feathers Tankcentre. I've been thinking about this nonstop since our last show. So it is on my what to watch for Blackhawks fans. I mean, realistically, we are only like a month and a half away from that. That is literally March 3rd is going to be here before we know it. And we'll all be at, corporate Casa de Marchese, putting in the work and HQ and putting in some good content throughout the day. Tone, of these what to watch for, is anything you got to, comment on, or anything you want to add on a what to watch for that is in the world of Blackhawks hockey?
I'm very happy with everything you just ran down there, Ron. I think those are all things to watch for. But the Tank Center, it's going to be a fun day. We're going to get together. We're going to be doing content all trade deadline. At least that's the plan right now. Probably some Four Feather shorts coming out on that day, as well as a full breakdown of everything that happened during the Blackhawks trade deadline. We'll have it for you on March 3rd. It's going to be a great time. I hope you're ready to crack them and create Blackhawks content, Ronald.
Oh, absolutely. I was absolutely born ready to do that. I'm ready to roll up to your house at 7:30 in the morning with McDonald's in hand and a backpack full of tech ready to go.
I'm not going to be up at 7:30 in the morning. That's fine. Who the hell are you kidding?
We'll call someone else then to let us in that might be awake in your house, since we know you won't be. We'll get started. Johnny and I'll get started nice and early.
You gotta give me until at least 9:30, like 10 o'clock. That's
by that point. By that point, the deadline's almost over, Tone.
That's what time this body starts in the morning. It's like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Well, we'll get you just to get up and come let us in, and then you can go back upstairs, and Johnny and I will be on the the first news shift of the morning before you join us as the late morning anchor.
I did make it all the way. I did make it all the way downtown today before 9 a.m. So maybe I can make some things happen. We'll figure it out.
Maybe we'll find a way to get you. We'll find a way to get you up and ready, even if it takes some breakfast delivery and coffee in the morning to get you going, or something stronger than coffee. Who knows? But we'll certainly get that figured out.
Some Baileys in that coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. We can make that happen.
Good. I think that's how we should all start our morning.
Yeah, it's a Friday. I think we can also get on that. That also cool part of it. Tank Center and trade deadline is a Friday, so even post trade deadline, I'm sure there will be plenty of Four Feathers content somehow making its way out.
You're trying to set me up for a 7:30 a.m. wake up when Johnny is already established around these parts that the weekend starts on Thursday. So this could be problematic for me. This
could be. We'll find a way to prevail. We'll make it work. I'm I do not lack any faith in the Four Feathers group to pull that off. Again, even if it requires a Tony Marchese joining us a little later than the start of the regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah, you're just gonna use me for content. I know how your mind works.
That's not at all. Not at all. We'll have a good time nonetheless. But Tone, before we start to wrap this thing down and we get to some final thoughts here, want to encourage everybody again to follow along on the YouTube and Facebook pages with us. You can comment along on the show as our boy I Am Scox did here, and he says, "Off-topic question: Where'd you get that hat, Ron?" I got this actually on the Chicago Blackhawks store online, so cbhshop.com. I ordered it. Admittedly, I ordered it during the participation in the #Crack'em movement. So it might have been a little movement. Bit of a. It is a great movement, especially when you have a friend that goes, "Look at the new Hawks hat I bought."
Yeah, Crack'em. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the Goose Island one, isn't it?
It is the exact same like logo.
Sign,
yes. It is. It's sweet. And then on the back, actually, so everybody can't see it, but it's it's like the Patrick Kane Rockstar like outline logo. It's actually really cool. Here, actually, hold on. Let me spin this around for everybody on the camera here. So that's the back of the hat.
Real close to that camera.
No, I don't want to. Joey did that last night on Cubs on Tap, and it really scared the hell out of everybody. But it's got the
You're not Joey, though.
logo. No, that's fair, but still, I have a big head and it takes up a lot of the screen. So, but yeah, it's a sweet hat. So that's where I got it. Chicago Blackhawks store. That's where we got it. Hopefully, maybe in the future we can have a little deal with them or something.
Free ad for the Blackhawks store.
I know we're gonna have to go talk to them about what we can do for them and what they can do for us. So, we'll get there at some point. But that's where I got this. Tone, but again, also want to remind everybody, like I said, at Four Feathers Pod, at On Tap Sports on Twitter as well. You're at Tony on Tap. I'm at Loose on Tap. Also be able to, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. 5-star rating and reviews are cool and tough and much appreciated as well from us. And again, if you want to know when we're going live, a little bell button on YouTube. Be sure to click that, and you will get a notification every time that any of our shows are ready to go live. Not only just us here at Four Feathers, but Sox on Tap, like Tony is on, Bulls on Tap. They ran earlier this evening. Cubs on Tap, like where I am, Bears on Tap, and so many more that we run here from On Tap Sportsnet. So once again, ontapsportsnet.com, at On Tap Sports on social media, the On Tap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Tony, final thoughts on the Chicago Blackhawks. What's going on? A quick one from me here is weird with no Johnny. It's been a while since you and I have just done a show. I think the Brandon Hagel trade was the last show that you and I did, just the two of us with no Mr. Nani. So it's been a little weird, but it's been fun. So what final thoughts do you have for us, sir, before we look ahead to these upcoming games here for the Chicago Blackhawks?
Where's Johnny? Like, where is he?
I don't know. He went to Cincinnati, and we haven't seen him since.
No, it is weird without Johnny, but it is great to do a show with you, Ronald. And I do remember the Brandon Hagel trade show. That was a fantastic time. And
we really struggled pronouncing Boris Kachuk's name. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean that's what this show is all about. I will mispronounce names. I think I got through it this whole entire episode without having to mispronounce names. So that's great for me. But
big victory.
I think overall we held the fort down for Johnny, and he'd be proud if he listened to this episode. So we've got that going for us. Let's just make sure that we get it published and out there, and maybe he'll listen to it in the morning, because I'm pretty sure you called him out at one point during it. Not me.
Somebody got called out and somebody did it, and that's all we know here.
Kudos to I Am Skokes in the comments for sticking through us. They're sticking through with us during the entire show, it looks like. So
yeah, and it's a late
kudos to him. When we get Four Feathers koozies, we'll send him one.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it's a late one for us. It's we're still going here at about almost 11:30 here Central Standard Time. So, a little late night Hawks never hurt anybody. But Tone, The 7-game homestand continues, as we mentioned earlier, in our What's on Tap next. As we mentioned, Thursday, Saturday, and Tuesday are the upcoming games. Thursday, January 12th, the Hawks play the Avs. That is a 7:30 start on NBC Sports Chicago. Saturday's a good old 7 o'clock start. And like Johnny said, we rarely get Saturday night hockey from the UC when Jerry Reinsdorf is willing to move from the time slot. So kind of cool and tough. 7 o'clock start, NBC Sports Chicago as well. And then Tuesday's game on the 17th against the Sabres is a 7:30 start, just like Thursdays, but again on NBC Sports Chicago. So a little bit of detail so everybody knows where to watch. And again, it's cold outside. It's the middle of January. There's not a whole lot going on. What better way to spend one of your evenings in the wintertime than go to a Blackhawks game? So maybe people will be able to get out between Thursday and Tuesday for one of these 3 home games. Or maybe even the 4th one against the Kings before the team closes up the month of January, pretty much, because they'll be on the road for a good portion of the rest of the month. Tone, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Absolutely. Always a blast to talk Blackhawks hockey with you. We'll be back probably next week. Maybe we'll have a report from being at the UC for the 2 of us at least. And Johnny, I believe, will be there on Saturday. We'll get some insight from him. It'll be good. It's always a pleasure, my friend. Looking forward to more Four Feathers shows with you. And what do you say? We get out of here the only way we know how, as the Four Feathers podcast.
Let's go Hawks.
Let's go Hawks, baby.